Hi guys, Michael here with Hello Cupcake, it's me. And over the last 72 hours, we have witnessed massive riots in Minnesota, in Texas, in California, Washington, D.C., and many other states and cities. It started off with the killing of George Floyd, but it has really kind of morphed into something different now. It's become just this huge powder keg. It's racially motivated, it's politically motivated, it's people tired of being oppressed by the COVID, people tired of the police going unchecked, and so I wrote up a really long blog post on hellocupcakeitsme.com, and I just printed it out, and I'm going to, for the first time, have a script in front of me that I'm going to read, and that script is what I wrote on the blog. Just because I feel that the wording used is good enough as is, and I don't want to mince the words or misquote myself. So, if it looks like I'm reading something, it is because I'm reading something. But these are my own words, and I'll leave a link to the blog down below so that you can go and see the whole post yourself. I never met the man, but his story is the same as many others. He was murdered, plain and simple. Murdered by those sworn to protect and serve those of us in the public. A man died, crushed to death by another grown man, applying lethal pressure in a submissive hold. A hold that these peace officers are taught from basic training not to hold a suspect in for more than a few moments. A hold that is known to kill people. The aftermath that consumed most of the nation in violence and fiery retribution. George's death was the spark that ignited the riots and the protests that happened. It started off as a protest against his killer, or killers. But there was so much more than that was boiling just under the surface. So much more that pushed the people to the breaking point. For years, the police have gone unchecked. A localized military group that operates under the guise of public servants. I'm not saying that all officers are bad. I personally have family members in law enforcement that I know take their oath seriously. But there are those that should never wear the shield. Playing devil's advocate, I understand both sides of the proverbial coin. I understand the heartbreak of the African American community. I understand the feelings of the hopelessness and being voicelessness. I understand the fear that many live in, not knowing how they are going to make things work, and constantly having authoritative figures being self-serving and never trusting and never turning their gaze upon the real issues that the people have, only the issues which will better serve those means of living living in a class system society, even when we're not supposed to, and everyone is supposed to have equal rights. I understand the Justice Department and needing and wanting to keep the peace, but when it is so blatantly obvious that they protect their own and sweep the wrongs of their peers under the rug, it becomes hard to support a system that shows no support for those that they are supposed to serve. Breaking and entering, vandalizing, looting, rioting, and causing massive destruction is against the law and hurts the community, yes. But it's also the only language that the repressed have many times. Look at all the riots of the last 40 years, hell, even 60 years. Most, if not all of them, have been in response to police violence or injustice. Sure, there have been some times that have been due to sporting events or other non-political related events. However, if things go unchecked, I foresee a new civil war breaking out. Not placing blame, but with this current administration, the telltale signs are already there. It is quite literally history repeating itself. When the North and South fought, it divided the country in two, the Union and the Confederacy. Now it's becoming apparent that it is happening again. Not for a very long time have we seen such a divide in our nation. Starting back in 2008, when the first black man was elected into the role of president, a groundbreaking historical event, we saw the sleeping dragon awake. But for the black community, that dragon has always been awake, but it was really the first time that Caucasians saw it. People saying things like, if that N-word has a barbecue in the White House, we'll lynch him. When the current administration began, its run for presidency, the dragon fully awoke and spread its wings, showing the entire populace that hate and bigotry was still running rampant in this country. Suddenly, hate and intolerance had public support and an in-your-face strength that had been seen since before the civil rights movement. Social media platforms became the new speakeasy and soapbox for fanning the flames once more. Peaceful protests are the only way, is what some people have said. I've heard this said several times over the course of the last week and a half, and at the time of writing this. But let's look at all of the peaceful protesting that has happened in the past. Let's start with Dr. Martin Luther King. He and his band of followers and supporters, both white and black, joined together and marched peacefully. He tried to be peaceful. He tried to be diplomatic. Floyd McKissick, director of the Congress of Racial Equality, tried to come to terms with King's death and the meaning for the broader civil rights movement. And I quote, "Nonviolence is a dead philosophy, and it was not the black people that killed it," he told a reporter from the New York Times the night of the assassination. "It was the white people that killed nonviolence, and white racist at that." And that's a direct quote from the History Channel, historychannel.com/news/MLK-assassination-riots-occupation. Those riots and protests last almost a full year, and in the very same cities that we are fighting civil unrest now. The American people cannot live with a one rule for me, three rules for thee governance that has steadily become the new norm. It's not until the people band together under a common banner that they are heard. There are many right this minute that are not seeing the bigger picture and only seeing the violence and the destruction that is happening as mindless chaos, and not the underlying meaning of what is taking root and trying desperately to grow. But it is those who are in power that think that they are above the laws that they swore to uphold and protect. Blind faith in those of a position of power, and not in the right or wrong aspects of things. We all make a choice as what to do and when to do it. Malcolm X, same situation, same result. Yes, he was more militant, but the message was the same. Rodney King, beaten, battered, and assaulted. Trayvon Martin, killed for walking down the street and refusing to talk to George Zimmerman. Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem in silent protest, resulting in him losing his position and many corporate sponsorships. I am neutral in all of this. I understand both sides of the coin. However, I am more favorable toward the people's side in this case. Police officers who used to be wholesome, they used to be the good guys. They were not feared. Now people rather deal with crime in their own ways rather than call upon those whose jobs were to serve and protect, because more often than not, those enforcers kill, maim, or otherwise injure and make the situation worse. The movement hashtag say his name is one that is strong and powerful. We need to say his name. We need to remember him. We need to look at the reason why these riots are starting. And in doing so, send blessings to his loved ones, that their pain is eased and that justice isn't blind, and that good, positive, lasting changes are made. Now, one thing that I've always tried to do on this channel is not be political or religious or give out any details on my political or religious affiliations or whatever else. And I'm still not going to. This is as political as I'm going to get. In the for the foreseeable future, I should say. There just needs to be a massive change within all governances, local, state, and federal. They all need to be, there needs to be a change. We as a people can no longer live divided. We have got to come together and support one another. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way that we are going to progress as a race and as a populace. We are keyboard warriors in many senses. We'll say things from the safety of our home behind our keyboards that we would never say to each other in public for fear of the retaliation or retribution. Yet, we troll sites. I've had so many people troll my page, and you've heard me talk about it in the past on other videos. We've got to try to do better, guys. This is unacceptable. I spent 7 hours on Friday night watching the Minneapolis riots happen. I saw the mindless vandalization, but I also saw what was being vandalized and how it was being vandalized. I watched it on a live Facebook feed from somebody who was actually there. No censorship, no news organization or affiliation, just a regular, everyday person like you and myself. There with a phone, several battery packs, a backpack full of water and medical supplies, and some food, and that was it. He stood and filmed the 3rd precinct being broken into and burnt. He filmed the National Guard protecting the fire department. He interviewed one of the National Guardsmen to find out what their overall goal was for being deployed. And at the time, the guardsmen said that they were only there to serve as bodyguards for the fire department. The target that was broken into there in Minneapolis was looted and vandalized, the same way with the Dollar Tree that was right next to it. But no, the essential items were taken from those stores and set up out in the parking lot for people to come and take as they needed. There was milk, water, diapers, you name it. If it was an essential item, chances are it was there. Then you had the other looters and rioters who were just breaking things, setting stuff on fire. At one point, a group of people stole 3 postal service trucks, completely vandalized them, flipped them over, set them on fire. I watched a U.S. bank get firebombed, and there was reports that the 5th precinct was under attack, and that Walmart over by the 5th precinct was going to be the next place that they hit. There was also a bridge that carried a heavy traffic load that they tried to blow up. I don't think that they ever succeeded in that, but I know that at one point people were screaming to get off the bridge, that they were trying to, or that they were going to try to blow it up. So yeah, you know, this is a very volatile situation. The people are tired of being repressed and having that whole 1 rule for you, 3 rules for me, and maybe I'll follow the rule that's set for me, maybe I won't. There needs to be accountability on both sides. There's been places that the protests happened that didn't get to that level. A few windows were broken, a few things were graffitied, whatever. But, you know, sometimes it's the only language that the repressed have to speak with. It's that whole squeaky wheel gets the grease situation. And I know many of you may disagree with me, and that's fine. That's 100% your right to do so. But you have to admit that there needs to be changes made. And if you are not a low-income person or somebody who depends on government assistance to get you through the month or through the year, or you do whatever you can to try to better yourself, better your family, but at every turn it seems like there's some kind of red tape or someone telling you that you can't move forward or that you can't do this or that, eventually that takes you one of 2 directions. Either you get really depressed and just become a bootlicker and say, okay, this is my fate in life, this is what I'm going to do, I accept this. You get extremely mad and you fight back, or you try to work even harder and with the same results. I'm not saying that everyone needs a handout, but at times everyone needs a hand up. We all need help at times. And if you're one of the fortunate people who are able to work and that you have done countless hours of back-breaking labor to have what you have, count yourself fortunate, because there are people who don't have that much. So, yeah, there needs to be some kind of change that happens, and it needs to be positive, and it needs to be quick acting. Regardless of what your position is on the COVID-19 scare, epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, we all can agree that things need to go back to the way that they were before all this crap happened. Had someone told me in 2018 or even in 2019 that this is what was going to happen in 2020, I wouldn't have believed it. This is like it reminds me of like the starting of Hunger Games or something like that, where the people rebel against the government and the government then cracks down even harder and becomes a Gestapo. I know there's a lot of people who are also worried about the United States becoming a socialist communist country or whatever, but we can't continuously break the people down and not provide for our own citizens, yet somehow have the money to constantly send foreign aid or send our troops into other countries and occupy those countries for an extended period of time and not turn our gaze upon our own people. This is America. This is the land of the free. This is supposed to be the land of milk and honey, whatever else you want to call it. There's no reason why we have poverty. No reason why we have a rampant homeless populace. No reason why our gas prices, our food prices, our housing prices are so astronomically disproportionate to the economy and to the everyday person's paycheck. I know I've mentioned my financial situations in the past, and I'll do so again. I get $803 a month to live on. My rent is $675. So that's like 95 or 97% of my income right there just for housing. I still have to pay my bills and the upkeep for my car. At the end of after I pay everything, I'm typically left with between $40 and $60, depending on if I found any promo codes for my internet package that month, or depending on if I have to do a complete restock of inventory within the house. I try to buy bulk items as much as possible, just so then that way I don't have to buy another thing of toilet paper next month, or I don't have to buy more cat litter in a couple of weeks, or I don't have to get more dish soap, stuff like that. Just everyday essential items, things that most people kind of take for granted. I don't know if you see, but this white thing right here, that's not a refrigerator, that's a freezer. And every week I try to go to the food bank and get what little items I need to help me supplement my grocery bill until I have more money to go and take care of things. I will have to say and admit that thankfully I haven't needed to utilize the food bank in several months, because I've been able to get things budgeted and financed in such a way that I'm left with a few extra dollars more than what I normally would have been. And the economic stimulus really has helped me out. That $1,200 has done so much for me that it's not even funny. I was able to have repairs done on my car. I was able to go out and get some new clothing that I desperately needed. I've been able to buy some fitness equipment secondhand, or, I think the most I've spent on my fitness equipment was $20 for some resistance bands. But, I've been able to take care of things that I otherwise wouldn't have had the money to do. And there are so many more people that are way worse off than I am, that $1,200 was a blessing to them. And yeah, there are those who utilize the money to go out and do copious amounts of drugs or whatever else. But you know what? eventually that money makes its way back into the economy and stimulates it as it needs to be. And I know that there's a lot of people who are hoping and praying for a second stimulus. Today I just watched a YouTube video from Morst Invest that talked about the second stimulus outcome and what's going on, the predicted outcome of what the Senate is going to meet on, and whatever else. There's a lot of people within the Senate that say that they should produce a stimulus every month for the American people until the end of the year. If that were the case, that's going to make things so much easier on 90% of the populace, if not 99% of the populace. As of right now, I know that it would really help me just to have another $1,200. If I could get 2 more $1,200 checks, I would be completely taken care of, and my fears and anxieties would be alleviated. Because with that next stimulus check, if it's passed, I can make even more repairs. I can get even more things taken care of for myself. So I'm going to cut it off at that right now, guys, because I just realized that it's almost a half an hour into this, and if you're still watching, I really do appreciate it. Sorry for getting so deep and pseudo-political, but it is what it is. So if you live in one of the cities where the riots have happened, I hope that you and your family are well taken care of and that you are safe. Take a moment just to connect with your higher power and pray or light a candle or whatever you gotta do for the safety and well-being of the entire nation, and hope that something good and positive comes from this. Not more of our liberties and our freedoms being stripped away and the leash being pulled tighter. So anyways, guys, you know the drill. Questions, comments, concerns, put them down below. Go over to hellocupcakesme.com, check out the blog, go read up that article on George Floyd that I wrote. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can shoot me an email, hellocupcakesme@gmail.com, or you can just reach me through message or whatever else. Follow me on other social media. Twitter, it's hellocupcake4 and the letter U. And follow me and my weight loss progress and workout journeys on Instagram, and that's Instagram. So that is Michael Scott Peterson. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.